Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, a.k.a. The Whip Show. You know what it is. I am Deshaun, Whip Dog Whipple, and I'm here with my tag team partner. Nah, he's not here today. He couldn't make it. He's a little under the weather, so I'm going to have to ride the ship by myself. Not a problem, no, because I got somebody that can train me in the building today. This guy is one of the greatest professional wrestlers and trainers we have in this very business. You guys give it up for Mr. Cody effing Hawk. How you doing today, sir?
Doing very well, man. Thank you for that great intro. I appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all, man. Thank you for joining the show, man. One thing about our show, like I said, it's called the Wrestling Heroes. We've had champion wrestlers on there, but we like to have the whole business on there on this show. We've had referees that work for different companies. We've had production assistants. We've had the directors of security. But one of the most important parts of the business before anything is training people. But before we start talking about how you got into training, what made you want to be a wrestler in the first place, Cody?
I was a fan when I was a kid. When I was a small kid, I used to watch wrestling on Saturday mornings with my mom and dad. And, you know, it was just a fan. It was just something I shared with my mom and dad and, you know, more so my dad. And, you know, just how and bond thing. And then as I got a little older, you know, I kind of fell away from it. But then I sort of fell back into it. And, you know, I've just been a fan, lifelong fan. That's what, you know, ultimately started that road.
Okay. Well, I'm loving to hear that, man, because I always like you said, a lot of us, we get into the business, we get a little older. When we start liking it as a kid, get a little older, we kind of walk away, but it always comes back when it's in our heart, man. By the way, I got to tell you, you got the best background I ever seen out of anybody we've ever interviewed, bro. You got the best background.
Well, you know, only one of those is mine. The other three belong to Shauna Reed.
Okay. And I also want to give a special shout out before we go any further. I know you're also part of a great crew, 5MW, with my boy Sean Casey and Andrew Darcy, man. So shout out to them, man. Because I know you've been to the Michigan area with Darcy and all that, so it's good to see that, man, that connect as well. But as you stated, you got into the business. Obviously, you started off as a worker. But how did the training thing even start happening, man?
You know, I never set out to be a trainer. I just happened to be the guy. I just happened to be the guy who was my trainer, Thatcher. I just happened to be the guy who he would put in the front class. He would have me run the drills. He would have me take over class when he had to take a phone call. I was just that guy. And, you know, a little turned into a little more and a little more turned into a lot more. And, you know, before I knew it, I'm running the whole class and I'm doing all the training with all the, you know, new talent that's coming in. And just, you know, at that point, HWA ended up with a WWE developmental contract. So Les had his hands full training all the people that they were going to try to use from WCW or ECW. And I had all of the non-contract students in the evenings. And I just, you know, just sort of a little thing that just kept growing. And like I said, I never set out to be a trainer. It's just one of those things that just sort of happened along the way.
Now, with that being said, you just talked about Les Thatcher, obviously a legend in this business, and Heartland Wrestling Association, HWA. How was that, man, working with WWE? Because that was prior to all the NXT, Florida Championship Wrestling, you know, even OVW. You guys were really like one of the first developmentals for them, weren't you?
We weren't the first. There was, you know, a couple other ones before us. But the business was a much, much different place you know, and the way it was so much different back then because, you know, like now, let's face it, there's thousands upon thousands of wrestlers. You know, 20 years ago, there weren't thousands and thousands of wrestlers. There were hundreds and hundreds of wrestlers, you know? And so back then it was just different, you know, like the way WWE treated independent companies was different. The way WCW treated independent companies was different. And getting to be, you know, involved in both of those companies and still be an independent guy, you know, like it gave me a perspective. And then, you know, we did get the WWE contract. They had closed down the Memphis territory, which was there was the Memphis territory and there was the Louisville OVW territory. And they closed down Memphis and shipped the guys from Memphis to Cincinnati and opened the Cincinnati territory. So that's, you know, where we fell in that timeline with developmentals. But it was literally at the very same time that WWE bought WCW and ECW. So literally in a span of 1 week's time, we went from being a small independent company with 20 people on staff to being a small independent company that has 100+ people that just recently came off TV in our building. You know, so once the word of mouth got out that that was what was going on in a tiny little warehouse, it didn't take long until we were turning people away in droves. And, you know, and we were making magic in those little warehouses with those kind of crews, you know, and like, you know, there was a bunch of those guys that were real hungry and they wanted to move up the ladder and get back to TV. And then there were some of those guys that were hated and just pissed off that they even had to be there. And, you know, and those guys ultimately ended up losing their jobs, and the ones that, you know, worked hard and kicked butt, they went on and back up the ladder and back onto TV. And, you know, so for 1 year there from July of 2001 to July of 2002, we were under that contract. And it was just, for me as an independent guy, like it was the greatest time of my life, man. I was meeting guys that I'd watched on TV. I'm wrestling guys that I watched on TV. I'm wrestling way better than a lot of guys that just came off TV. Like I'm getting opportunities. I'm working for WWE on a regular basis. Like it was just, you know, it was a good time. It was a real good time to be alive and learn wrestling because I was just a student. You know, I'd been around the business for 4 or 5 years, but like just a sponge, still trying to collect knowledge. And then, wow, here's Dean Malenko teaching class. Here's Terry Taylor teaching class. Here's, you know, Kevin Kelly teaching promo class. Here's like, you know, just like, wow. Hey, Cody, we need you to go do a 15-minute match with Val Venus. Okay, cool. Like, you know, just a real cool time to be a part of the business.
Oh, man, I got to say that because that don't take you about, if we go back, you will be around your 20 years, 25, 27, something like that at that time?
Me, I started in 96, so I'm coming up on 25 in February. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, it's got to be an amazing thing when you had that going on. But I got to ask you, you're training these guys, and like you said, some of them come off the road, and some of the attitudes, and some of the young guys are really go-getters. I know, but some of the people that don't know, let us know some of the people that have been in your classes over the years. Like, are you talking about, because back then during the contract days, all the contracted talents, those were all under Les's tutelage. And I had all the non-contract people that were coming in. But I ended up with guys like Sami Callihan, Eli Drake, Drew Skills, a girl named Haley Hatred, and Jon Moxley. So, I mean, I had my own crew of people that weren't TV stars, but we're all going to go on to be big TV stars.
Now, when you saw them coming up then, you know, sometimes they say we can see a little something in guys when they first start. Were you able to tell that they had it, that they was a little bit different than some of the other guys?
With Moxley, yes, he was the only one though that, like, you know, everybody was good and everybody had potential to make money, but it was just, I don't know, it was just something different about him. As he just something about his swagger, man. You just sort of knew, like everybody said it in the locker rooms always, this kid's going to make money. Like this kid's going to make more money than all of us combined. And, you know, and didn't take too long, and that's where he went.
Nice. Well, like you just said, you had some of the great wrestlers of all time, but you've also worked as well. Like you said, you did a lot of work with WWE. Did you do a lot of just enhancement, or did you get a lot of just actual good matches and things? What kind of work did you get with WWE when you actually were wrestling?
I mean, I got some good matches. I mean, nothing. A few things that were televised were usually squash matches, but there were several just dark matches that never made the light of day. That were good matches. I got to wrestle with Albert and Draws before he got hurt, and they had Vic Grimes under contract at that time. I got to work with him. I got to do stuff at WCW. I was working with like Lash LaRue and Hugh Morris, and but like at HWA, all of those big name talents that were there, I had to wrestle those guys, so I wrestled idols who were Rosie and Umaga. I wrestled Val Venus. I wrestled with Eddie Guerrero as my team partner. So getting to be, I wrestled, in a tag match where Rey Mysterio was on one of the other tag teams. It was like a 3-way tag match. All these guys were there. I wrestled in tag matches with Rishi and, Ming, the Barbarian. Like, those guys were there. Like, they all got sent there, like everybody that they weren't using, they just stuck them in Cincinnati. And they, even some guys that were coming back off of like rehab, like we had X-Pac there for a while. We had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash there for a week or two. It was just a revolving door of big names coming through there. And I was one of the non-contracted talents that was respected enough by the contracted talents that they still used me. So that was my groove, and that's where I fit in, and that's what I did.
Love it to death, man. And fans, the people that's going to be listening to this, I want y'all to understand how serious HWA was. About 20 years ago, back in my indie days, I sent the tape to HWA because we didn't have YouTube links back then. We had to send tapes, and I wasn't good enough to get in. I understand now because of the great guys y'all had, so it's okay, man. I'm not mad. I was bitter then. I'm not mad now, man. But no, obviously, you guys.
I didn't have nothing to do with it then. I was just a wrestler.
You know what, though? It's funny. Later on, they actually had a battle royal. And, you guys love to put anybody in the battle royals. I actually had an opportunity to be in the battle royal. However, my car broke down on the way to Ohio. So I couldn't make it to the battle royal. But it's all good, man.
Those are royals, man, because I ended up with 100 people in them.
Yeah. Now, you also won an award at the Cauliflower Alley Club. Got put in the trainer award. Now, not many people have even gotten it. First of all, let people know what the Cauliflower Alley Club is, and then talk about the award that you received.
So Cauliflower Alley Club has been around since, I think, 1965. It's a nonprofit organization run by wrestlers and boxers and people of combat sports nature, but primarily it's professional wrestling. Their focus, their mission, what they do is they take care of wrestlers who have either fallen on hard times due to medical expenses or just a bad run of life or just whatever. They step in and they bail some people out and they help them pay a mortgage or, pay some hospital bills or whatever they can do. They step in and take care of people. Like a couple years ago, Brickhouse Brown died, and Cauliflower Alley found out that he had cancer just a few months before he passed. And if they would have found out a year before he passed, they might have been able to help him live a little bit longer. Because, they stepped in and took care of all his medical bills and everything. But by that time, it was too late. But that's what Cauliflower Alley does. They take care of the boys when the boys can't take care of themselves anymore. You know, it's just it's a really, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's a beautiful thing. Like, and when you go to the Cauliflower Alley Club conventions, they don't call them conventions, they call them reunions, Cauliflower Alley reunions, because it's just a hodgepodge of people you grew up watching wrestling, people you've met from all over the country, new aspiring wrestlers, and everybody congregates into Vegas for 1 week, you know, and so it's like, you know, if you love wrestling and you love, you know, entertainment, and you love to have some drinks and have good food and be around good people, it's just, Vegas is packed full of wrestlers during that week, and it's just, you know, an awesome thing. The Trainers Award, since 1965, they've given that award out 2 times up till me. So they had given it to Ron Hutchins a few years prior, and that's the guy that trained like Edge and Christian and a bunch of those people that came out of Canada. And then the other guy was Steve Kern, who was the trainer at FCW when Jon Moxley was there, and Seth Rollins was there, and you know, so he had a hand in so many people's careers too. And for me to be even put on the same kind of platform as those 2 guys, just total mind blown. Like, wow, I can't even believe this is happening. And you know, I got an email one day from Brian Blair, because he's the president of Cauliflower Alley, and he said, we're going to be presenting you with this award this year, you know, just confirming that you're going to be able to come out. And I was like, holy cow, yes, of course I'm coming out. Like, nice. This is amazing. And you know, I made one phone call. I called John, and I said, hey, I'm getting this award. It's in Vegas. Like, it's literally like 10 minutes from your house. You got any interest in being my presenter? And he was like, yeah, of course, like on my way. And so, you know, it all just fell together. And then, you know, my mom and dad got to go to Vegas. They'd never been out there before. So they got to be there, and they got to be around the wrestling business. And a bunch of my students were there, my girlfriend, you know, everybody that I'm connected to is somehow connected to the wrestling business. So, and just, you know, really fun time, really awesome trip to Vegas, and getting to win that award and get up on a stage in front of 500 spectators that consisted of wrestlers I grew up watching and their families. You know, I'm like looking out over the room. I got, you know, right in front of me, I got Ming and the Barbarian sitting right in front of me, you know, because they won an award on the show too. I got Jerry Lawler, I got Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe, and, you know, Sergeant Slaughter, and just, you know, like so many people. At one point of the night, Kevin Sullivan walked over to the table where I was at, and my mom and dad were there, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and I stood up and I shook his hand, and we had a little talk, and then he just put me over, like for like, I don't know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. He just put me over, and then he just walked away, and that was the end of it. But it's so cool to have that happen, like right in front of my mom and dad. Like, you know, they watched him. They remember him as the Taskmaster, even though, you know, he's an older guy now and doesn't look so scary anymore, you know, but that's how they remembered him. And I don't know, it's just really cool.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, you kind of segue into our next segment, and you kind of already touched on it a little bit, but we have a segment called Your Mark Out Moment. Your mark out moment, not necessarily just like, oh my God, I can't believe this person, but whether it be you're in the locker room and you realize I made it because I got such and such next to me, I was in the ring with somebody, or that one moment when you became a professional that you was like, yeah, I'm marking out on the inside. I didn't mark out, you know, outside, but I'm marking out on the inside about being in this moment.
The first moment, like, there's 2 pretty distinct moments that stick out in my head, pivotal points in my brain. One is the first time I ever worked for WWF. I literally had only been actively wrestling for about a month. My first trip to WWF was at Joe Louis Arena up in Detroit, and it was sold out. There was like 22,000 people there. And I was just getting squashed in a little squash match, you know, and I walked out with the referee and walked down that little ramp and headed to the ring. And I just like took a moment to like look around, and like the people all the way up in the top, they looked like they were this big, you know, it was just, and it was just deafening, the sound. And I don't know. I just took a moment to breathe and look at the arena. I was just like, wow, this is what I've been doing this for. Here I am, you know. And then so I'd say that's probably that top moment right there, you know, where I felt like I had made it.
Nice. Well, speaking of the WWF and WWE, recently, maybe a year ago, they brought you in as a special trainer at the Performance Center. Now, how did that happen?
I got an email one day from Matt Bloom that said, we would like to know if you'd like to come to Florida for a week-long trainings to be a guest trainer here. At that time, I believe they were auditioning trainers to hire somebody because this was all pre-COVID and all this stuff. So they were opening a performance center in England. They were opening a performance center in India, I think, and another one in China. And they were going to need coaches. So I assumed that's because I wasn't the only one. You know, they auditioned 12 or 13 different people over a few months' time. You know, one of those guys, Ace Steele, ended up being the guy that they hired, and he got a job, and, you know, good for him. Like, that's a hell of a coach right there. So, you know, it was just one of the things they reached out, and like, it was just dumb chance, I guess. And then of course I'll come to Florida and you'll pay for me to come and pay for me to be there. And you know, they took such good care of me. Like, it was just amazing. I had a nice flight down from Cincinnati. They got me a rental car. I had a brand new Mustang that had 800 miles on it. You know, way too much car for somebody who is just going to be going back and forth from the Performance Center to the hotel, you know. And so it's hard to keep that car, you know, under the speed limit. The hotel that they put me up in, it was like a suite. I mean, it was like damn near bigger than my apartment. I couldn't believe how big this place was. I was like, holy crap, like full kitchen, full everything. I'm just like, wow, man. And then they took, you know, I'm sitting at a coach's table with Steven Regal and Shawn Michaels and Terry Taylor. And like, I'm like, wow, I feel so out of place. Like, this just doesn't feel like where I should be. But, you know, everybody treated me like an equal there. All the coaches did, all the students that were there, all the talents that were in the Performance Center, they all treated me like I was a coach there. So it was just an absolutely wonderful experience. Like, you know, probably in the top 5 of awesome things that's happened in my wrestling career.
Nice. Man, you're so humble, man. You got so much respect still for the business, man. And by the way, I know so much about you because I study your Facebook page. I'm a stalker on your Facebook page. No. But seriously, man, speaking of you being so humble and so respectful, I see your page, I see your post. You still love the business. Here recently, you did something at the, I don't know if it was a wrestling show or did you do a comedy show, some type of fundraiser at your current, at the ring here recently. Did you do something there? Like,
yeah, well, you know, Ohio's got some really bad coronavirus laws going on right now. So wrestling is one of the wrestling and boxing and MMA, the quote unquote combat sports. We're governed by an athletic commission. None of the sports are governed by the athletic commission, but we are. Wow. So, and the governor of Ohio is, you know, still in COVID panic mode. So the state is essentially for wrestling and boxing and MMA 100% shut down. We can train, but we can't have shows. So we have a building, we have a very nice building, but we pay rent on it every month. And, you know, without running the shows, we can't pay the bills. So we've been coming up with creative ideas to pay the bills. We've done a couple car washes, and we played on some online bingo, and, you know, those things were all cool, and they did some stuff, but we really wanted to use our building, man. That's our home. Like, that's the place we've all built that we've, you know, before coronavirus, we were packing 150 people in a little small building every Friday night. Like, you know, like that's our place. So I just went to my crew and I was like, hey, like we can do any other kind of show we want in this space. we just can't do wrestling. So we came up with a variety show, which ended up being, you know, a glorified talent show. And some people sang, some comedians and some storytellers. And that was all cool. Sold out in about 8 days. We sold the 70 seats out or so that we could have in our building with the social distancing rules and all that stuff. You know, and it worked, and we paid the bill, and we kept the building for another month. And actually this coming Friday night, we're doing another fundraiser, which is not quite the same as the last one. We're actually going to rip off Saturday Night Live, and we're going to call it Friday Night Live. And it's going to be a sketch comedy show with all the wrestlers doing, you know, sketches. So, you know, we're gonna, it's almost sold out now. And I think we're going to live stream it, you know, so it should be fun. I think it's going to help all my wrestlers step outside their box a little bit, like be somebody different, be a different character, play some different parts. I mean, this is all screams pro wrestling without getting our butts kicked.
Yeah, I love this, man. This is amazing. Make sure if you get a chance, you can send us any type of links, and I'll get it shared on my social media platforms for everybody to be, you know, watch that or whatever they can do, because that is really awesome, man. But that shows how much you're a great trainer. Dusty Rhodes, many years ago, down in Florida Championship Wrestling, I was down there, and he was training guys, and he put one of the biggest muscular guys in the ring, and he put a lady in the ring. And he told them they expected they were going to have a match, but that's not what he did with them. He told him, act like you're going to pick her up at a bar. And he had to do it in front of the whole class of students. Creative ways to make guys, like you said, still be pro wrestlers, because you have to be in character, do your thing, and put it over, man. It was amazing. So what you're doing right now is awesome, because it shows guys still ways to do what? Be creative and put their characters over. I love it. I love this, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Seriously, who thought of it? You or somebody else? Tell the truth.
These are my brainchilds.
My dude. Well, now we got another segment. I want to go into this right now. Because, Cody, I know you do still wrestle, but you don't have to say wrestling. But we have a segment called Book Yourself. I know you're obviously familiar with everything going on, WWE, AEW, Impact, all the promotions right now. But if you were to take Cody Hawk right here, right now, how would you book yourself in one of the promotions or in some type of storyline going on right now? If you were to create your own.
If I were to create my own storyline in a promotion?
One of the promotions and drop Cody Hawk and book himself in something right now.
Yeah, I mean, plug me in anywhere. I will take care of people. I will get people over. I will help them be better. I will elevate them while I elevate myself. You know, that's what I do.
Y'all heard that. That's what he do. Nothing more to be said right there, man. Well, Cody, I was looking at your T-shirt right now. If you can let the people know exactly what promotion that is you're running right now, what you guys will have going on after this COVID thing.
Yeah, the promotion's called Future Great Wrestling. We're in Hamilton, Ohio, which is a little suburb of Cincinnati. You know, we've been around for a little over a year. We fought the city and get pro wrestling in. We won. We've fought the neighbors who wanted pro wrestling to go, and we won. And now we're fighting the governor and coronavirus, and we're going to win that too. And when it's all said and done, wrestling's still going to be alive. We have a huge fan base. The people are just dying to get back in, get back to the shows. And it's going to happen. And, you know, want to check us out if you're watching from afar. We have a YouTube page, just Future Great Wrestling, and you'll find it. We have a weekly television show there called Shockwave. We've been producing for about 9 months or so now. Unfortunately, because of so much coronavirus lockdown, we've been in best of episodes for a while. And, you know, that's not fun. But hopefully soon we'll be able to start dropping new content again and getting fresh new matches, stories, and stuff moving on out there. Also, you know, that you can find Future Great Wrestling on Facebook or Twitter or any of those different things. But that's that's my little home base in Cincinnati. That's also where my wrestling school is. And, you know, when we train wrestlers there to hopefully one day go on up to the big time and, you know, keep producing good wrestling talent to keep good wrestling alive.
Nice. Can you throw out a couple of names people should be looking for? Yeah, if you could throw out a couple of names.
I got a few kids in my place. You know, Shauna Reed is my top she's the top dog there. She's been around for about 4 or 5 years. She's done a whole ton of things for WWE. Like, she's traveled, she's been overseas, she's wrestled all over the country. You know, so she's the, you know, the top dog. But, you know, I have a bunch of other kids that are just, you know, they're great and they're awesome. They just need a chance. You know, I got a kid named Scotty Amos who's pretty damn good. I got a few talkers that aren't necessarily the best wrestlers in the world, and they got character and the gift of gab down pat. They make awesome managers on anybody's shows. I got a kid named Ricky Glam. I got a kid named JC Flash. You know, I got a kid named William Wolf that's a pretty hell of a good wrestler. Like, you know, like, so hopefully, you know, over the next few years, some of these people will find themselves, you know, moving on up that ladder and getting to a better place than, you know, where we are now.
For sure. I love it. Now, one last thing before we get out of here, I want to ask you this, man. The current television products we got, like I said, we got WWE, AEW, and all that stuff, Impact. Do you watch the current products? And what do you think of the current batch of TV star pro wrestlers?
Well, I'm going to be honest here and say I don't really watch the current product that much. Every now and again, because I run training class on Wednesday nights, and I can't be bothered to record anything or look back at it afterwards. So when I get home, there might be 10, 15, 20 minutes of NXT still on or AEW, and you know, I'll pass it. And if there's something going on in the ring, if John's on TV, I'll stop. I'll watch if he's on. If Jericho's in the ring, I'll stop and watch, you know. But there's not a lot of people that are really like hooking me, making me want to watch them. And you know, as far as like Raw and SmackDown, I've not watched any one of their programs in months. Like not even just channel surfing. I just don't even stop. I just keep going right past it, like, because I'm just not interested. And it's sad because I do love the business so much, and I love the art of pro wrestling, and these TV companies, like, I know they got sponsors and they got stuff that has to be done a certain way, but you can't take away pro wrestling and still try to sell pro wrestling.
And it's funny because that's a consistent thing with some of the greats we've had on our show, because we've had many greats, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Alpha, and we had tons of people, and a lot of people say the same thing. They don't watch the current product. But one thing that I like to ask also is, what would you say the wrestlers themselves should change? Because a lot of the guys that we've had on say they think the wrestlers, they can do great moves, but they don't do great storytelling. So what would you think about if the wrestlers themselves could add anything to their presentation?
Yeah, well, just knowing what I know about WWE and how stuff works there, and, you know, I've never worked for AEW, so I can't say, but I'm sure it works very similar. You know, like the wrestlers are the very last people on that food chain. There are writers that are putting their stuff together for them. There are agents that are telling them what to do in the matches. You know, wrestlers can do all the cool moves in the world, but if your agent says, no, this is what I want you to do, then that's, you know, unfortunately, that's what you got to do. You know, I think AEW, I think they give them a little more creative freedom and let them just sort of do what they want. But that's sort of, you know, it has to be a happy medium, because you just can't go crazy forever. You're going to run into a brick wall at some point. Like, at some point you'll have done everything that there is possible to do, and you know, you'll have to reset and start over. So, you know, it's like WWE's one side of the spectrum, and I think AEW's the other side. There has to be a happy medium in there somewhere. the guys that are wrestling there, unfortunately, all they can do is really what they're told to do, and and it's a paycheck, but you when you sign that contract, you lose your creative freedom a lot of times.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of that, because that's what happened when your boy left Moxley and he got to AEW. He was very happy. I'll just say that he was very happy when he was able to shift to another promotion.
Yes. Yeah, he was definitely happy. When we were hanging out in Las Vegas for Cauliflower Alley Week, that was when his contract was up. Literally the day he gave his speech to me, his contract expired at midnight. So we were hanging out, and that's when he sent that first tweet out of him breaking out of jail. He sent that literally right there from the table where we were sitting. He had already had it made up and ready to go, and he just fired that out, and then went up on stage and introduced me, and just, I don't know, this is very cool. And he wouldn't tell me, he wouldn't tell me what was going on. He's like, just, you're going to have to tune in like everybody else. I want it to be a surprise. You're going to love it, and then I saw it and I was like, yeah, thanks. Thank you for, that video was awesome, man. Thank you for making me wait. I'm glad.
That's
so but, and he's got more than enough money to live the rest of his life happy and healthy and doesn't ever have to worry about money again. And that's exactly what he'll tell you is I don't wrestle. I'm not wrestling for money. I'm wrestling for creative, because I like to create, and I'm never going to wrestle for money again. He told me that Vince McMahon could offer him $10 million to come back, and he wouldn't come back because it's not about money anymore. He said, it's just about me being me. And I'm like, you go, bro. I wish we could all have it like that.
Facts, man. You ain't lying. That's so dope, man. Y'all heard it. Y'all just got an exclusive right here on the Whip Show, man. Well, Cody, man, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you had a good time, have fun. But before we close, we got one last segment. It's called Ring the Bell. Well, Ring the Bell is this. I give you 60 seconds to tell our listeners whatever. You can promote yourself. You could say something inspirational. You could just talk about your day, but you can talk about whatever you want to, Cody. Right now, for 60 seconds, please ring the bell.
Ding, ding. So, C to the O to the D to the Y, Cody effing Hawk. Throw it up, throw it down. That's right. Look, if real pro wrestling is what you want, then you need to find yourself a good trainer. Start your career right. Don't screw it up by just going to some Joe Blow that's just going to take your money and not teach you what to do. Find good reputable schools, find good reputable trainers, earn your spot, earn your keep, earn your place on their show or on their roster. Work hard, be humble, be yourself, have a good time, because that's what this is all about. Enjoy the ride, because you'll look back and 25 years will have gone by just like that, and you will be thinking, wow, where did it all go? I can tell you this because that's the life I'm living right now. But I'm still riding that wave because I love it.
My God, my God. Make sure you shoot out your Facebook and everything, your contacts, one more time so people can have that.
All right. So on Facebook, it's wrestler.Cody Hawk. Twitter, it's at Cody effing Hawk. I do believe the Instagram is the same. Cody Hawk, you can just Google it. You can find me on all the social media platforms, and I represent Future Great Wrestling, and you can also find me there, and you can find us on YouTube as well.
You heard what it is. Follow the man. You want a good trainer? I'm just saying, don't go to nobody that's around the corner that you don't know. The man that trained the best. Holler out. Talk to the boy. Cody, don't leave right quick. When I close, I want to talk to you for a hot second. But you know what it is. We done had another great show. We gonna get on out of here. You know we have all types of great guests. So make sure you check us out each and every week on the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, a.k.a. The Whip Show, on Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, Google Play, wherever. You can also watch the video on YouTube. And follow us on Instagram at the Whip Show Podcast. And if you have a guest you want on the show, all you got to do is email us, thewhipshowpodcast@gmail.com. So I'm going to get on out of here. I'm Deshaun, Whip Dog Whipple. My boy, Devastating Daryl Pace, get better. And I was here with the man, Cody effing Hawk. And we will see you next time on the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders Podcast. Throw it up. Throw that 5 up. All right, y'all. Take care. Cody, thank you very much, sir. Have very much fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Real quick, if you don't mind, could you do like a quick drop? This is Cody effing Hawk. Cody effing Hawk had a great time on the Whip Show. Just like a little 15-second drop. Can you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so just whenever you're ready, just do it. Just say 1, 2, 3, and just go.
All right. 1, 2, 3. This is Cody Hawk, and you are listening to the Whip Show. Let me do you another one real quick.
Okay.
Let me do you one more. 3, 2, 1. This is Cody Hawk, and I'm telling you, what a blast I had on the Whip Show. Tune in.
Thank you very much, my man. All right, bro. Like I said, we'll have that up. This one will be up in 2 weeks, so I'll make sure I let you know when it's up and everything. And like I said, if you got those links for everything you got going on your Friday streams, feel free to get them over to me, and I'll make sure I post that up on my stuff too, okay?
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much, buddy. Take care.
You have a good one, buddy.
You too.